My boyfriend ruined our first New Year's kiss by screaming that he cheated, so I pretended to forgive him, collected evidence from 8 other women, and exposed him publicly in front of them all at the restaurant where we had our first date. Me and Devin had been together for 2 years, and he was amazing. He was the type to take pictures of me without me asking, to grip my hand extra tight when I walked down the stairs in heels. Of course, no one's relationship is ever perfect, but we were happy together. We were both family people, and agreed that whatever money we saved would be put into our future children. But there was one thing about him that I never talked about in public. When it came to romantic moments, he couldn't follow through on them, whether it was just straight up canceling or joking around until the moment was ruined. I just didn't think it was a good enough reason to end a relationship, so I never thought much of it. Anyway, a few weeks ago was New Year's Eve. We still hadn't shared a New Year's kiss, and it was something that had been on my bucket list for almost my whole life. So when my friend Anna asked if me and Devin wanted to go to New York and celebrate with them, it was a no-brainer, because we were already double dating with them all the time, and it seemed perfect. But Devin didn't see it that way. Babe, really? Kissing in public? His comment made me feel really sad, and I just stared at the ground, not really saying much. And I guess he saw my reaction, because that's when he clarified that he was joking, and he was happy to go. It seemed extremely forced, but I stopped myself from overthinking by telling myself that he had agreed, and that was all that mattered. But in the weeks leading up to it, I only felt worse. When I bought my dress for the occasion and showed it off to him, he just sighed. Babe, you know how I feel about you showing off so much skin in public? I stared at him, because my outfit was literally a full body pantsuit, with some cute heels and a matching coat. But before I could say anything, he continued, maybe going to New York isn't such a good idea after all. Why can't we just do what we usually do? I almost cried right on the spot, because by what we usually do, he meant him hanging out with his party friends, and me staying at home watching the countdown alone on the TV. But when I asked him why he didn't want to go, he got defensive, told me that I was putting words in his mouth, that I was just guilt-tripping him. But that day, even I was too tired for Devin, so I just nodded and waited for him to stop talking. It ended with him still agreeing to go, just much more reluctantly, and as long as I wore something else. The day we were leaving for New York, despite everything, I was a ball of excitement. I had never been to the Big Apple, and it was still me and Devin's first New Year's kiss together. And TBH, I looked bomb. We carpooled with Anna and her BF, and it was so much fun. We all screamed the lyrics to white girl music and talked about our resolutions. Well, all except Devin, who was sitting by the window with his arms crossed and a sulk across his face. And whenever I tried to ask him what was wrong, he would text me to stop talking to him and leave him alone. So I did. I tried to not let it damper my mood, but it was almost impossible. So instead, I told myself that he had motion sickness and didn't want to talk as a result. Luckily, parking was actually easy to find, and everything seemed to be going our way. We dropped our stuff off at the hotel and made our way to Times Square. My heart was racing as I looked around at everyone. Smiles, rosy cheeks, cheering. I honestly felt amazing. And because Devin had found a beer to drink, his mood was lifted too. I really thought that Devin decided to get over his moodiness for a day that was so important to me. I was so naive. After a few hours, we were finally just minutes away from the ball dropping. Anna and her boyfriend gazed at each other with the eyes, and as I turned to Devin to do the same, he was looking at me too. But in his eyes, I didn't see love. Instead, I saw guilt. So I smiled, thinking that he was feeling bad for how he had treated me. And that's when the 10-second countdown started. But when it got to 3, he screamed, "Not Happy New Year. Not I love you. I cheated," at the top of his lungs. The people around us went silent, and 3 seconds later, as everyone shouted, "Happy New Year," and Frank Sinatra started to play, I just stood there in the middle of the confetti, my heart completely shattered. The people around me asked if I was okay, but I didn't even pay attention to them. I just made eye contact with Devin, who was smiling and telling me he was so glad to finally get it off his chest. It was the loneliest moment I had ever experienced. I even had to ask myself if I was dreaming, but I wasn't. I was just stuck in a relationship with Devin, and as he stood there with a "what is she gonna do next" look plastered on his face, I kissed him, and he kissed me back. I told him I forgave him, and thanked him for being so honest with me. But as his tongue was in my mouth, my mind was elsewhere, because this relationship now only served one purpose: my revenge. I couldn't tell you what I did to Devin in this short. The full video is on my channel and linked below. The next morning, I woke up first. Devin was snoring beside me, completely oblivious to the fact that everything had changed. I slipped out of bed and went to the bathroom, staring at myself in the mirror. My eyes were puffy from crying after we got back to the hotel. But Devin had been too drunk to notice. He'd actually fallen asleep thinking everything was fine between us, that his terrible confession was somehow behind us now. Anna texted to see if I wanted to grab breakfast. I hadn't told her what happened yet. We'd somehow gotten separated right after midnight in the chaos of the celebration. I texted back saying I'd meet her in the lobby in 15 minutes. I got dressed quietly, careful not to wake Devin. Part of me wanted him to sleep all day. I needed time to think and plan my next steps carefully. In the elevator down to the lobby, I checked my phone and noticed 3 notifications from unknown numbers. I couldn't see the content of the messages yet, only that they were from numbers I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped as I wondered what they might contain. Anna was waiting in the lobby, and one look at my face told her something was wrong. We found a quiet corner of the hotel cafe, and I told her everything. The confession, the way he'd smiled afterward, how I pretended to forgive him. Her jaw literally dropped. "You're not seriously staying with him, are you?" she asked, reaching across the table to grab my hand. I squeezed her hand back. "Not for long," I said, "but I need to figure out exactly what he did first." Over coffee and barely touched pancakes, we formed a plan. Step 1, find out who he cheated with, when, and how many times. Step 2, gather evidence. Step 3, confront him publicly, just like he'd humiliated me publicly. Anna was all in. She never really liked Devin anyway, which was news to me. We were interrupted when my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. "I think we need to talk about your boyfriend." I looked up at Anna, my heart racing. Looks like step 1 might be easier than we thought. I opened the message and texted back, asking who they were and what they knew about Devin. While waiting for a response, Anna and I finished our breakfast and made a list of everything I needed to find out. She suggested we go shopping afterward to help clear my head, and I agreed. Retail therapy might be cliche, but I needed a distraction from the emotional turmoil swirling inside me. The betrayal felt like a physical weight on my chest, making it difficult to focus on anything else. Just as we were about to leave the cafe, Devin called. I took a deep breath and answered with a cheery, "Good morning, babe," like nothing was wrong. He asked where I was, and I told him I was having breakfast with Anna. He said he'd join us, but I quickly made up an excuse about us heading to a sample sale right after. He seemed disappointed but didn't argue, which was somewhat surprising given his usually persistent nature whenever we were apart. "We'll meet you back at the hotel in a couple hours," I promised, trying to sound normal. "Love you." After hanging up, Anna stared at me, clearly impressed by my composure. That was impressive. I couldn't have sounded that nice. I shrugged, tucking my phone away. Theater kid in high school. Guess those skills finally came in handy. What I didn't mention was how much my hand was trembling, or how the false cheerfulness in my voice had left a bitter taste in my mouth. While browsing through shops in Soho, examining racks of clothing I couldn't really focus on, my phone buzzed with a reply from the unknown number. "My name's Rebecca. I work at Devin's office. We hooked up at the company party last month, but he told me you two were on a break. Found out yesterday that was a lie. I'm not the only one." My hands were shaking so bad I had to show the phone to Anna instead of trying to read it out loud. The company party was last month while I was visiting my parents. He told me he couldn't come because he had to work. I remembered being disappointed but understanding, or so I thought, about his dedication to his career. Now that memory was tainted, like so many others. Another text came through. There's a group chat with 4 of us who figured out we've all been with Devin. We can meet if you want proof. 4 women. 4 that I knew of so far. I felt sick to my stomach and had to sit down on a bench outside the store. Anna sat beside me, rubbing my back while I tried to breathe normally, fighting against the waves of nausea threatening to overwhelm me. You okay? She asked, concern etched across her face. I nodded, even though I definitely wasn't. I want to meet them. We arranged to meet the women that afternoon at a coffee shop far enough from our hotel that Devin wouldn't accidentally stumble across us. I texted Devin that Anna and I were having such a good time shopping that we'd be out longer than expected, and he replied that he and Jake were going to watch a game at a sports bar anyway. The casual normalcy of our exchange made everything feel even more surreal. When we got to the coffee shop, 3 women were already sitting at a corner table. Rebecca waved us over. She introduced Jessica, who also worked at Devin's office, and Megan, who lived in Devin's apartment building. The 4th woman, Taylor, couldn't make it, but had sent screenshots of her conversations with Devin. Each woman greeted me with a mix of sympathy and solidarity that made my throat tighten. For the next hour, they shared their stories. Rebecca showed me texts where Devin told her I was mentally unstable and that he was trying to find the right time to break up with me. Jessica had actually met him at a bar 6 months ago, not knowing who he was until she started at his company and recognized him. He told her he was single. Megan's story was the worst. They'd been hooking up on and off for over a year whenever I was out of town. She lived just 2 floors down from us. She'd even been in our apartment when I was visiting my sister last summer, in our bed. The thought of a stranger in the space I considered safe and intimate made me feel violated in a way I couldn't quite articulate. I'm so sorry, Megan said, looking genuinely remorseful. He told me you two had an open relationship but didn't like to discuss it directly. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. An open relationship? Devin was the one who once freaked out when a waiter was too friendly with me. He'd spent 20 minutes afterward insisting the man was flirting and questioning why I hadn't done more to discourage him. The screenshots from Taylor showed Devin had been on dating apps the entire time we were together. They'd matched just a month after we started dating and had met up several times. My head was spinning with all this information. These were just 4 women who happened to find each other. How many more were there? The question hung in the air, unspoken but painfully present. What are you going to do? Jessica asked, stirring her now cold coffee absently. I took a deep breath. I'm going to ruin him like he ruined my New Year's, but I need more evidence first. The women all agreed to help. They added me to their group chat and promised to send any additional proof they had. Rebecca even offered to check with other coworkers she suspected might have stories too. By the time Anna and I headed back to the hotel, I had a plan forming. We'd be heading home tomorrow, and I needed to keep up the act until then. The drive back would be awkward, but I could manage it. Once home, the real work would begin. I felt a strange calm settling over me, the kind that comes not from peace but from absolute clarity of purpose. When we got back to the hotel, Devin was already there, sprawled on the bed watching TV. He smiled when I walked in, like last night never happened. I forced myself to smile back and asked about his day, all while thinking about Megan in our bed. The mental image made me want to strip the sheets and burn them. Did you buy anything? He asked, nodding at my shopping bags. I pulled out a blue sweater I'd bought. Nothing special, but it gave me something to talk about. Do you like it? It's nice, he said without really looking at it. Hey, about last night. Here it comes, I thought, the attempt to justify himself. I was pretty drunk, he continued. I hope you're not still upset. It was just a one-time thing, you know? A mistake. It didn't mean anything. A one-time thing. I thought about the 4 women I just met, about how one of them had been in our apartment, in our bed, about all the others I didn't even know about yet. The audacity of his lie was almost impressive in its boldness. I forgive you, I lied, sitting next to him on the bed. We all make mistakes. I appreciate your honesty. He looked relieved and pulled me in for a kiss. It took everything in me not to recoil. You're amazing, he said. I don't deserve you. For once, we agreed on something. The drive home the next day was pure torture. Anna and Jake tried to keep the conversation light, but there was this tension hanging in the air. Devin acted like everything was normal, holding my hand and occasionally kissing my cheek. Each time he touched me, I had to fight not to pull away. Every mile felt like a marathon, and I kept my gaze fixed on the passing landscape to avoid making eye contact with anyone. When we finally got home, I made an excuse about being tired and went straight to bed. I couldn't stand another minute of pretending. As soon as Devin was asleep, I carefully got up and took his phone to the bathroom. I'd seen him enter his passcode enough times to know it by heart. What I found made me physically ill. Not only were there messages with women I hadn't even heard about yet, but there was a group chat with his friends where he bragged about his conquests. He'd even shared details about some of them, intimate details that should have remained private. In that same chat, he talked about me like I was some naive idiot he had wrapped around his finger. One message from New Year's Eve caught my eye. He'd texted his buddy Thomas, plan to drop the bomb at midnight. She'll either leave me on the spot, win, or forgive me. Bigger win because then I can keep doing whatever I want. It hit me then. He wanted to get caught. Either I'd break up with him, saving him the trouble of doing it himself, or I'd forgive him and give him permission to keep cheating. It was a win-win for him either way. The calculated nature of it made the betrayal even more painful. This wasn't just weakness or temptation. It was deliberate manipulation. I took screenshots of everything and emailed them to myself before carefully putting his phone back. Then I created a new email account where I could collect all the evidence without him potentially finding it. Over the next week, I acted completely normal. I went to work, made dinner, watched TV with Devin in the evenings, but every moment he wasn't around, I was gathering information and planning. Each smile I gave him felt like a small victory, evidence that I was stronger than he thought. Rebecca came through with 3 more women from their office who'd been with Devin. One was his boss's assistant, which explained how he'd gotten his recent promotion despite mediocre performance reviews. I added all their stories and evidence to my collection. Then I started checking our finances. We had separate accounts, but also that joint savings account for future kids. I logged in and discovered he'd been making regular withdrawals. Small amounts that I might not notice, but they added up to over $3,000 in the past year. The withdrawal dates matched up suspiciously well with dates he claimed to be working late or out with the guys. He was using our future children's money to fund his affairs. I transferred my half of the remaining money to my personal account. If he noticed, he didn't say anything. Maybe he thought I was planning to buy something special for him to make up after New Year's. The thought made me sick. The following weekend, about 2 weeks after New Year's, Devin announced he was planning a surprise for me. To make up for everything, he said, looking genuinely excited. Saturday night, wear something nice. I agreed enthusiastically, wondering what he was up to. That same day, I received an unexpected message from Linda, his ex-girlfriend from before me. Apparently, she'd seen a post Rebecca made in a women's Facebook group about cheating partners, recognized Devin's behavior pattern, and reached out. We met for coffee the next day. Linda's story sounded eerily familiar. Devin had cheated on her too, multiple times, then gaslighted her when she confronted him. She'd eventually caught him in such an obvious lie that he couldn't talk his way out of it, but not before he destroyed her self-confidence and isolated her from friends who tried to warn her. He has a pattern, she explained. He love bombs at first, then slowly breaks down your confidence while building himself up as the perfect boyfriend. Then the cheating starts, but he's already got you convinced you can't do better than him. It was like she was reading the story of my relationship aloud. Every manipulative tactic, every red flag I'd ignored, she'd experienced them all too. The final phase is the discard, she continued. When he gets bored bored or you get too close to catching him, he creates a scene to end things in a way that makes him look like the victim or hero. I thought about his confession at New Year's, about the text to his friend saying it was a win-win situation for him, about this mysterious surprise he was planning for the weekend. I think he's planning to break up with me on Saturday, I said. Linda nodded. That would fit his pattern. My guess is he'll do it somewhere public so you can't make a scene. He'll make it about how he can't live with the guilt of hurting you or something equally martyrish. That made perfect sense. He was setting up a grand finale where he'd come out looking like the remorseful guy who just couldn't help himself, but at least had the courage to end things honorably. Meanwhile, I'd be the poor, blindsided girlfriend everyone would pity. Not if I could help it. I need your help, I told Linda. I have an idea, but I'll need backup. By Saturday evening, everything was in place. I spent extra time getting ready, wearing the dress I'd originally bought for New Year's Eve, the one Devin had claimed showed too much skin. My hair and makeup were perfect. When I emerged from the bedroom, Devin actually whistled. You look amazing, he said, looking slightly uncomfortable. Maybe a bit overdressed for where we're going, but where are we going? I asked innocently. It's still a surprise, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. We should head out, though. We have reservations at 8. The restaurant turned out to be Romano's, an upscale Italian place where we had our first date. Very symbolic. Ending things where they began. I had to give him credit for the theatrics. As we were seated, I noticed at least 3 women I recognized from the group chat with tables nearby. Anna and Jake were seated near the bar. Linda was by the window with her roommate. Even Devin's boss's assistant was there, pretending to be on a date with her brother. Everyone had been assigned positions like this with some kind of spy movie. Devin ordered a bottle of expensive champagne. To new beginnings, he said when our glasses were filled. To the truth coming out, I countered with a sweet smile. He looked momentarily confused, but clinked glasses with me anyway. Throughout dinner, he seemed increasingly nervous, checking his watch and fidgeting with his silverware. I chatted happily about work, friends, future plans, acting like I had no idea what was coming. Finally, after we'd finished our main course but before dessert, he reached across the table for my hand. There's something I need to tell you, he began, his face taking on that practiced guilty expression I now recognized as completely fake. I've been doing a lot of thinking since New Year's. Before you continue, I interrupted gently. There's something I'd like to say. He blinked, thrown off his script. Sure. I took a deep breath and stood up. In my peripheral vision, I saw several of the women do the same, phones in hand, ready to record. Devin, I know everything, I said, my voice clear and surprisingly steady. I know about Rebecca and Jessica from your office. I know about Megan from our building. Yes, the one you brought to our apartment and our bed. I know about Taylor from Tinder, and the 6 other women from the dating apps you've been on our entire relationship. His face went from confused to pale to angry in seconds. What are you talking about? I told you it was one time and I was drunk. I know about the $3,000 you stole from our future children's savings to pay for hotel rooms and gifts for other women, I continued, raising my voice slightly so nearby tables could hear. I know you told your friends on New Year's that confessing was a win-win for you. People at nearby tables were staring now. Devin looked around, realizing he had an audience for a very different scene than the one he'd planned. Lower your voice, he hissed. You're making a scene. Oh, I'm just getting started, I replied. You see, Devin, I've spent the last 3 weeks collecting evidence. Text messages, photos, bank statements, testimonials from women you've slept with, including your boss's assistant who's sitting right over there, by the way. I pointed, and Devin's head whipped around to see his boss's assistant waving at him with a cold smile. You went through my phone? He spluttered. That's an invasion of privacy. You had no right. No. What's an invasion of privacy is sharing intimate details about women with your friends and group chats. I shot back. What's an invasion of privacy is bringing other women into our home, into our bed, while I was visiting my sister. By now, several of the women had moved closer to our table, phones still recording. Devin noticed and his eyes widened in panic. What is this? Some kind of setup? He demanded. This, I said, gesturing around the restaurant, is me taking back my power. This is me making sure you can't control the narrative anymore. I picked up my champagne glass. Ladies, would anyone else like to share their Devin story before I finish? Rebecca stepped forward first. You told me she was mentally unstable and you were afraid to leave her. Meanwhile, you were telling her you were working late while you were with me. Jessica was next. You told me you were single when we met at the Capitol Bar. Then when I started working at your company, you begged me not to tell anyone because you were allegedly just about to break up with your girlfriend. One by one, 7 women shared brief versions of their experiences with Devin, who sank lower in his chair with each story. By the end, he wasn't even trying to defend himself anymore. I turned back to him. I've already moved my things out of the apartment. My name isn't on the lease, so it's all yours. I've separated our finances. I've told everyone who matters the truth. And now, I get to walk away from you with my head held high, surrounded by new friends who helped me see you for who you really are. I raised my glass one last time. To new beginnings. My new beginning without you. Then I turned and walked out of the restaurant, followed by Anna, Linda, and all the other women. Behind us, I could hear scattered applause from other diners who'd witnessed everything. Outside, I finally let myself shake with the adrenaline of it all. Anna hugged me tight. That was badass. She whispered in my ear. How do you feel? I took a deep breath of the cold winter air, like I just got the best New Year's gift ever. My freedom. As we walked away together, my phone buzzed with a message from Devin. You're going to regret this. No one will ever believe you. I showed it to the women around me, and we all burst out laughing. Rebecca held up her phone where she'd been recording. I think we have plenty of people who already do. I deleted his message without responding. He didn't deserve another second of my time or energy. Instead, I linked arms with my new friends and suggested we go find somewhere to celebrate properly. You know, Linda said as we walked, there's a great view of the city from the rooftop bar at the Regent. Perfect place for new beginnings. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Lead the way. The rooftop bar at the Regent was exactly what I needed. We got a table near the edge with this insane view of the city lights. I'd never felt so free before. Linda ordered a round of drinks for everyone while I just sat there taking it all in. The weight that had been sitting on my chest for the past 3 weeks was finally gone. To fresh starts, Anna said, raising her glass. We all clinked glasses and I took a long sip of my drink. The alcohol burned a little going down, but it felt good. Warm. Real. So what happens now? Jessica asked, leaning forward. I shrugged. Honestly, I have no idea. I didn't think past tonight. You should take some time for yourself, Linda suggested. After what he put you through, you deserve it. She was right. I'd spent 2 years molding myself to fit what Devin wanted. Always walking on eggshells, always questioning if I was being too much whenever I got excited about something, always dimming my light so he could shine. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Devin. I'm outside your sister's place. We need to talk. I showed Anna the message and she frowned. How does he know where your sister lives? I don't know, I admitted. I never told him that's where I moved my stuff. During our relationship, I'd been careful about keeping my sister's address private, especially after she had issues with a stalker last year. I'd always met my sister at restaurants or my place. Devin had never been to her apartment. Rebecca looked concerned. Maybe you should call your sister and warn her? I nodded and stepped away from the table to make the call. My sister Rachel answered on the 3rd ring. Hey, what's up? Aren't you supposed to be confronting the cheater right now? Already did, I said. Listen, is Devin outside your apartment building? What? Number? At least I don't think so. Let me check. I heard her footsteps and the sound of blinds being moved. Nope, no sign of him. Why? He just texted saying he's outside your place. Wanted to freak me out, I guess. Rachel scoffed. What a loser. Don't worry, he's not here. And if he shows up, I'll call the cops. I've got your back. After reassuring me one more time that she was fine, we hung up. I went back to the table feeling uneasy. He's not there, I told the group. He was just trying to scare me. Classic manipulation tactic, Linda said knowingly. He's trying to regain control. When you took away his power to dictate the narrative, you took everything from him. Block his number, Megan suggested. All of us did. I nodded and blocked Devin's number right there at the table. It felt like cutting the final string connecting us. The uneasiness started to fade. We stayed at the bar for another couple hours, swapping stories and advice. These women who'd been strangers just weeks ago now felt like friends I'd known forever. We had this weird bond, all victims of the same manipulative jerk. Instead of seeing each other as competition, we'd turned it into solidarity. Around midnight, we started saying our goodbyes. Everyone had work the next day, and the emotional high of the confrontation was wearing off, leaving us all pretty exhausted. We exchanged hugs and promises to stay in touch. You know, we've got a group chat now, Rebecca reminded me. We're like a support system for each other. Anna offered to share an Uber with me to Rachel's place. In the car, she finally asked the question I could tell she'd been holding back all night. Are you really okay? Like, actually okay? I thought about it for a minute. Yeah, I am. Or I will be. I'm sad about wasting 2 years with him, but I'm not sad about losing him. Does that make sense? She nodded. Total sense. I never liked him anyway. Why didn't you say something? I asked. I tried, sort of. Remember when he canceled on your birthday dinner last year? I told you then that you deserved better, but you just made excuses for him. I vaguely remembered that conversation. I'd probably said something about him being busy with work or having a lot on his plate, the usual excuses I made. I should have been more direct, Anna continued. I just didn't want to be that friend who trashes your boyfriend. Next time, be that friend, I told her. I promise I'll listen. When I got to Rachel's apartment, she was waiting up for me with ice cream and her laptop open to Netflix. Classic Rachel, always ready with comfort food and distraction. How'd it go? She asked as I flopped onto her couch. It was perfect, I said, kicking off my heels. You should have seen his face when all those women started telling their stories. He literally had nowhere to hide. She handed me a bowl of ice cream. I'm so proud of you. That took serious guts. I couldn't have done it alone, I admitted. Having everyone there made all the difference. We stayed up another hour watching some mindless comedy before I finally crashed in her guest room. For the first time in weeks, I slept without waking up every hour to check my phone or plan my next move. The next morning, I woke up to several texts from the women in the group chat. They'd created a shared photo album of all the pictures and videos from last night. Seeing Devin's face as each woman told her story was even more satisfying the second time around. I spent the next few days figuring out what came next. I had to find a new apartment, obviously. Rachel's place was great for temporary crashing, but her one bedroom wasn't meant for 2 people long term. I needed to update my address everywhere, get a new routine going. On Wednesday, I got a call from an unknown number. Normally I wouldn't answer, but something told me I should. Hello? Is this Alexandra? A woman's voice I didn't recognize. Yes. Who's this? My name is Patricia. I work with Devin. My stomach tightened. Oh, I just wanted to let you know. He's been fired. I sat down on Rachel's couch. What? Why? After what happened Saturday night, his boss's assistant showed their conversation history to HR. Turns out sleeping with your boss for a promotion is against company policy. Who knew? Her sarcasm was thick. Anyway, he was escorted out yesterday. Thought you might want to know. I thanked her for the information before hanging up. I hadn't expected that. I hadn't been trying to get him fired. I just wanted him to face the truth of what he'd done. But actions have consequences, I guess. I texted the news to the group chat. The responses came flooding in, ranging from karma to, well, if it isn't the consequences of his own actions. It felt like closure somehow. The next few weeks flew by in a blur of apartment hunting and job interviews. I decided to look for a new position too. Not because I needed to, but because I wanted a fresh start all around. Plus, my current office was only a few blocks from Devin's former building, and I didn't want to risk running into him on lunch breaks. I found a cute studio apartment across town and a promising job at a marketing firm that actually paid better than my current position. Things were falling into place faster than I expected. 1 month after the confrontation, I was moving into my new place when my phone rang. Anna was calling to check in. How's the move going? Almost done, I said, looking around at the boxes still needing to be unpacked. The important stuff is set up. Bed, coffee maker, Wi-Fi. The essentials, she laughed. Listen, we're having a little get-together at my place tonight. Nothing fancy, just drinks and snacks. The whole group is coming. Want to join? The whole group meant the Devin survivors, as we'd started calling ourselves. We'd kept in touch regularly, supporting each other through the aftermath. I'd love to, I said. What time? Around 8. And hey, I invited this guy from my office, Jordan. He's super nice, not a player. No pressure at all, just thought you might want to meet new people. I hesitated. The idea of meeting someone new so soon after Devin made me nervous. But then I reminded myself that I didn't need to jump into anything. Meeting someone new didn't mean dating them. Sure, why not? I'll be there. I spent the rest of the day unpacking and arranging my new space. It felt good having a place that was just mine. No one else's clothes in the closet, no one else's preferences to consider when decorating. Just me. When I arrived at Anna's that night, everyone was already there. Linda brought homemade cookies. Jessica brought some fancy wine. Rebecca was showing Megan pictures of the puppy she'd just adopted. It felt like a real girls' night except for Jordan, who was chatting with Anna's boyfriend in the corner. Anna introduced us, and I immediately noticed he wasn't my usual type. Where Devin had been loud and attention-seeking, Jordan was quiet and thoughtful. He asked questions and actually listened to the answers instead of waiting for his turn to speak. We ended up talking for most of the night. Not flirting, just genuine conversation. He told me about his job in graphic design, his love of hiking, his close relationship with his sisters. I told him about my new apartment and job. Neither of us mentioned past relationships. At the end of the night, he asked for my number. Maybe we could get coffee sometime? As friends, he added quickly. No pressure. I appreciated that. I'd like that, I said, and meant it. Later, as Anna and I cleaned up after everyone left, she nudged me. So, what did you think of Jordan? He seems nice, I said cautiously. Really nice, actually. But I'm not ready to date yet. I need more time. She nodded. That makes sense. Just don't let what Devin did keep you from ever trusting again, okay? Not everyone is like him. I know, I said. I'll get there. Just not today. And that was the truth. I wasn't ready to dive into something new. But for the first time since New Year's Eve, I could imagine a future where I might be, where I could trust someone again, where my heart would be open to possibilities. That night, in my new apartment, I pulled out the journal I'd started keeping after the breakup. I wrote about the evening, about meeting Jordan, about how I was feeling. At the end, I added, I don't know what happens next, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to find out. And whatever it is, it'll be on my terms. I closed the journal and looked around at my new place, my fresh start. It wasn't perfect. There were still boxes everywhere, and I hadn't figured out where to hang all my pictures. But it was mine. And right now, that was exactly what I needed.